I know not why I live in this world, yet I know why I seek to save it. It is for the good of Roostaria. For the good of the people, I must wipe out this evil. The world we live in is full of so much beauty. If there is a way evil, it seeks to wipe that out. It is my job to stop it. My father would have wished it upon me, for me to carry his sword to battle, for me to duel with the forces of evil, for me to wipe out the plague that threatens us every day. Because a storm is coming, a storm that cannot be quenched. As I leave these memoirs, I wonder to myself, how long can this world go on like this? How far must things go till the very earth crumbles? There are old tales of the ground splitting, fire spewing from the earth. That is a nightmare that must be avoided. This world, in time, shall be saved, but not until it reaches its darkest day shall the light shine through. The sun falls from the sky, and the battle cry of thousands shall be heard from the watchtowers. This world will be saved in blood and anguish to pave way for a new society, for a new Roostaria, for a new utopia. Amen.
Long ago, in the kingdom of Roostaria, there lived two brothers. Born from the same mother, they were polar opposites of each other. They were referred to as good and evil by the priests of the ages, or Bandor and Agbar, as you would know from the scrolls. Bandor was blessed with looks of the angel, eyes of fluorescent blue, and a face of trust. Agbar, however, had eyes of a demonic black shade, his skin was grey, his face scarred from birth. He wore a hooded cloak all throughout his life, casting his face under an everlasting shadow, making him grow cold and malevolent inside. These brothers grew up together with separate ambitions. Bandor wished to create, and Agbar sought only to destroy. With his growth and maturity, the anger and spite nestled in Agbar's soul only grew stronger. He grew large and strong, forming a cult of followers that eventually grew to an army. Meanwhile, Bandor and his mother lived within the city of the Templars, Agbar having long since been exiled from the city for his numerous crimes. The people were unsuspecting of the rising power of Agbar. His army launched only a few minor raids upon the city, stealing petty items such as gold and iron. Little did they know, he had figured out the Templars' one weakness: the darkness. Agbar had mastered the forbidden study of the dark arts, and in doing so had unlocked secrets that had been lost with the deaths of many sorcerers before him. And now a shade had formed, a living shadow under Agbar's control that advanced upon the world. Its name was the Darkness. It was merely a myth at the time, a myth that was become very, very real. A portal hidden deep beneath the city was the key to Agbar's invasion and the start of the war. In the middle of the night, the army of darkness assembled a few miles from the city's walls. Whilst beneath the earth, Agbar was finalizing the portal. Suddenly, a shot of light flew out from the center of the city, creating a massive crater and spreading fire and ash everywhere. And who should be standing in the middle of it all? But Agbar himself. Now empowered by the full might of the darkness, he was practically invincible. His eyes glowed an evil red, and his teeth were now a set of sharp razors. His fingers had turned into claws, and he was the absolute epitome of evil. Unbeknownst to Agbar, Bandor had foreseen his plan. Since you see, the two were connected by an almost one-way spiritual line. Bandor could see his brother's force, but Agbar could not see Bandor's. In effect, it was the only advantage the Templars had at this point. The blast had taken out a few Templars, but there was still enough knights and mace lords left to defend the oncoming army for weeks on end. The walls were strapped with balls of fire, and the gates were battered with endless waves of the Dark Horde. The Templars were outnumbered, but their skill reigned supreme on the battlefield, and the darkness fell in their hundreds every day. Agbar and Bandor dueled atop the cathedral. Over the rooftops they leapt and swung. Their lightning bolts flew, fireballs crashed, swords swung, and they met with the sound of clashing steel. The battle lasted for weeks, the two never ceasing their eternal struggle for the knee, until, eventually, Agbar succumbed to the strength of Bandor. All his wealth, his army, his power, the darkness, he could not triumph, and so fell from the highest steeple in the city to his death. Bandor saw to it that his body was sealed away under the 1,000-year stone, that the tomb should never be opened by a mortal man. And then he collapsed, weakened from the days of fighting, and could not manage a single breath. His body was buried next to his mother's in the graveyard of the now ruined city of the Templars. For his untimely death, however, Bandor had left a legacy: 2 twin baby boys, who his wife had born on the eve of his and Agbar's deaths. The knights immediately ordered that the two should be frozen in a lake of time, to be awoken when their time was nigh, and so the 2 brothers were sealed below the ice-locked surface, and there they remain to this current day. For now, it has been nearly half a millennia since the war, since the city of the Templars was devastated, since the brothers were sealed and the bodies were buried, and the eve of darkness approaches once again. The Templars are on their highest guard at the tomb of Agbar, and the moon grows a more blood-ridden colour with each passing night. The time is nigh for Agbar to rise again. If the spirit ritual of darkness is performed, then all shall be lost. The kingdom shall cease to exist, unless we find our heroes. The heroes that will awaken the 2 brothers to combat Agbar and his evil forces should they rise again. The time is now for the brave to shine, for a quest to begin, for a start of a fresh adventure. And it all began on a small island on the edge of the kingdom.